welcome back to the program as we continue here on a Wednesday. I am your host, Dan Scott. Again, don't forget live on the campus of Southern Wesleyan University, and we hope that you'll join us for that. But here in studio beside us is a great friend of the program and Furman Hall of Fame wide receiver, now wide receivers coach here with the Paladins in his second year, right? Or third
This
year.
would be third.
Third year. That's right,
Yeah.
man. Time flies.
Yeah.
Pull that back just a little bit. You've already been here 3 years?
3 years.
Going on
three
your
years.
third year, yeah.
So we completed two.
Yeah, you're getting old.
Yeah, tell me about it.
This is Brian Bratton, our high-text graphic people. You can't see it because of the glare, but they've got it arrow pointed in the right direction. How you doing?
I'm great. It's finally summer, so it's not as hustle and bustle, but still got work to do, but getting a chance to relax and play with the kids a little bit.
Yeah, I'm digging the social media pictures of you and your kids.
Oh man, they are. If I could post all of them, all the videos, all the pictures, it'd be crazy.
Every time I see one of them, they're climbing all over you and doing all sorts of things.
Yeah, they're really fun. It's really exciting, and actually tomorrow we'll be in the hospital tomorrow having our third.
No kidding.
So there'll be another little Bratton running around.
Oh wow! Congratulations, man.
Thanks.
I didn't know that.
Not a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Now everybody knows.
And they're all going to be under
The age of 3.
Under the
no,
age.
well, 3 and under.
3 and under.
Yeah.
You need a new hobby. Oh man, well that's fantastic. Make sure you tell Ashley I say congratulations.
I definitely will.
Congratulations. I got to ask you this before we start talking about camps and everything. You know what kicks off tomorrow, right? Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night is the NBA draft, isn't it?
That's not where I was going.
Oh, tonight's the NBA draft. Yeah.
Tomorrow night is the opening, the opening of first game of the regular season of the new CFL season.
Oh yeah, that is right.
Yeah.
That is right. That is tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
You still get the itch?
Yeah. I mean, I do. I got some friends that are still playing. Not a lot, but I do have some that are still playing that were, much younger than me when I was up there. And now they're getting into their 30s. And I actually saw a picture yesterday of S.J. Green and Brandon Whitaker, who are both in Toronto now.
Mm-hmm. Along with General Manager Jim Pop and Head Coach Mark Trestman.
Exactly. So, they got this hashtag, We've Got History. And, it's like, man, what an opportunity for those guys to play together, different organization, but under the same leadership, and knowing what they did in the past.
Right.
And then that brings back memories to when we were all together and we were winning a lot of games. And how much fun it was.
Cups.
Yeah, 3 straight, winning 2 of them. So, there's an itch, but obviously, I'm struggling just to go play basketball in the pack right now. So,
are you getting to that point? How old are you now?
I'll be 35 in July.
35.
That's right.
I think I've got socks that are 35 years old.
Well, you need to get rid of those.
Yeah, I probably do. My wife would agree with you. You haven't quite gotten to that point yet, I don't think. You can tell me, but you know how it is. The older you get, the better you were. Are you starting to get there? Are your stories turning into a little more tall tales now?
No, I mean, I'm pretty realistic about it. I've always thought of myself as being pretty humble, err on the side of not giving yourself too much credit. And to be honest, when I go out there and I coach every single day, and I see the type of athletes that are around. I got an opportunity last a few weeks ago to spend a couple weeks with the Baltimore Ravens on the internship. And, I come back and I'm just realized from coaching these guys, being up there, I really wasn't that good. I worked really, really, really hard because I never I thought I had that much room to make up. And so I worked extremely hard. And now, reality, I was talented, but I just think that there's some talented guys out here today that can do a lot of things, very, very athletic. And I always say that I wasn't as athletic as some of the guys that are here today. Some people would differ from that, but I'm going to stick to that.
Well, whatever there may have been and a lack of athletic talent, I think you may be selling yourself a little bit short. I don't know anybody who outworked you when you were a player, and I don't get the idea there's a whole lot of people who are going to outwork you as a coach.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think that you have to, go out there. When I was a rookie with the Atlanta Falcons in 2005, the strength coach, Coach Miller at that time, pulled me to the side and said, "You've got a lot of talent, but my advice to you is outstudy and outwork all of them. Mm-hmm. Just outstudy and outwork." And I've always remembered that, and I've passed that advice to other people: outstudy and outwork. Because if you can do those things, you give yourself a chance. A lot of the talent that people won't work, and because they're so talented, but they'll never enhance that talent. But if you're willing to work, then you can go far above where you are, and even make up for some of the lack of talent mm-hmm. with just work ethic.
Well, there's a guy beside yourself who I think epitomizes that the vast majority of people who are watching this right now, I have no idea who I'm talking about, but I know you hold in very high esteem because you played with him and watched him go about his business and become one of the greatest ever in the Canadian Football League, and that was Ben Cahoon.
Oh, man.
Little small white guy who basically just outworked everybody to become a legend in that league, and you and he were on the same wide receiver staff for a number of years, so you got to see that up close and personal.
There's no better example. I've actually got a picture of him in my office. I went up and helped retire his jersey last year. I spoke at halftime of the game, and it was one of the number one honors that I've had is to honor a teammate that I tried to emulate. Mm-hmm. Because when I came in, I was young. He was an older guy, but I just saw how he worked. And all these guys that come in from the NFL and have these big names, they got cut, and that little guy stayed. And now he's a receiver coach at BYU, his alma mater. So we have a lot in common, but he's one of those guys that you want to be like. Mm-hmm. And that was the guy I picked during that team.
Like I say, most people watching this probably don't have any idea who he is. I would suggest maybe you do a little research.
Or YouTube it. These are some of the greatest catches you'll ever see.
Yeah.
Ever.
See, now as a coach, you're trying to pass along that to the receivers that you coach. Do you see the light bulb going on with any of these kids as you're trying to make them understand what it takes to be great? And great may be nothing more than them being very good at this level, but great for what their body will allow them to do, what their skill set is. Can you see the light bulb physically going on with some of these kids?
I do. I really do. And, the light bulb is brighter than others, but I do see that light bulb coming on. I think that my number one goal when I came in here 2 years ago was to give the receiving corps a sense of confidence. Mm-hmm. Whether they did anything better or not, I wanted them to be confident in what they were going out to do. And I think, number one, I accomplished that. This group that we had the last couple of years, and even more so now, are very, very confident mm-hmm. in their abilities. Now it's a chance for them to understand that working hard will increase their ability, and so now their confidence can go to another level. And so that's what we're trying to do. But they understand the work thing. I think we have a group right now, judging by spring practice, judging by last season, the younger guys now that they're a year older, but their work ethic is awesome.
I said this a number of times on the air during last season, and I'm not saying this just because you're sitting here. I'm not saying this just because you and I are friends, because I've also sent you text messages in the past asking you what's up with your guys dropping balls and that stuff like that. But your group, I thought, from your first year to last year, made more improvement than any other group on that football field. And in my estimation, it wasn't even close. It was so noticeable how much better the wide receivers were last year than they were your first year when you first started working with them. So to me, it's a testament to you, number one, but also to those guys being willing to suck it up and take everything in like a sponge and then put it into practice.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. That's a huge compliment, obviously, from somebody who sits up and sees it all. But it's a process, and everybody doesn't get it at the same time. but your hope is that at some point they get it, and then it becomes contagious, and then everybody gets it. And I'll agree with you. I felt like those guys improved immensely, especially from our first year. But the first year we were trying to get in, they had to trust me first,
Right.
and say, okay, is what he's telling me for real? Is it going to work? And then after you see that a little bit, then you start, okay, I'll do this too, and then I'll buy in, and then I'll completely buy in, and before you know it, you're completely immersed in it, and now everybody's doing it, and then you see production.
Are you at the point now where you've developed the leadership within the ranks of the wide receivers, where you have guys who are not necessarily coaching the other guys, but showing the kind of leadership that you want to see inside your own ranks?
Absolutely. I mean, you got the veteran guy like Logan McCarter, who has done every single thing that you can ask of him and done over and beyond what is required to make himself the best he can be. And there's still some things that he probably would tell you I got to get better at, but he's worked so hard and he's gotten so much better, and now to the point where he's correcting the younger guys, or he's showing them how to do the drill. A guy like Thomas Gordon, who's only played for me 1 year, but you could see the steady improvement, and then now you see the growth as a man, as a young adult coming, and he's even pull some of the younger guys, be like, no, this is how we do it. And he's the epitome of how you practice full speed every rep. So, those guys, they've done a great job. They make me a better coach. They make me look good, because now they're taking it amongst themselves to bring the level of play in the receiver core up.
When sports is done right, and I've been a big proponent of this all my life, and unfortunately we see a lot of examples today where it's not done right. But when it's done right, it teaches you not only lessons about the sport, but it teaches you lessons about life. Right. And you just referenced Thomas Gordon and the strides he's making as far as becoming a man. Now, how important is that to you to see your receivers and really anybody on the team, but inside your group, to see those guys develop? I would hope it would be more important to develop as men than players.
No doubt. If those guys come in and they break every record in the record book and they win championships, but they don't learn anything to grow up, they don't become more mature, they don't learn anything about life and life's lessons, then I failed them. Because the number one thing I want them to do is be a good person, be a good husband, and be a good father. And if you can use those attributes that make you a good person, a good husband, and a good father, you'll be a good football player. But I think those are those are higher in the pecking order than just being a good ball player.
And if this is not a political show, and it's not going to be a political show, but I will say that message is in direct contradiction to most of what we see today.
Yeah, and it's just America doesn't really care about that. It's more about entertainment, and how you can cheer for somebody or something. But my number one thing when those guys walk in this room as freshmen is to make sure they get a degree from here, and then make sure that they grow up and they become young men before they leave here, so that number one, their parents will be proud of them, we'll be proud of them, and then they'll be positive asset to society.
You know what I find entertaining, and as a father, about to be a father for the third time, you will too, children who mind. That's very entertaining to me. So yeah, I get the idea that the Bratton kids are going to have that quality.
Well, we're working on it. I'm not going to say we mastered it.
Well, now listen, they're still going to be and they're going to have their moments, but
right.
No, at 3 you ain't mastered anything yet, man.
It's a work in progress.
It's a lifetime of work in progress. Trust me. This is Brian Bratton, the Furman Hall of Famer, and now the wide receivers coach, 3rd year as the coach here. You had 2 years at North Greenville, so you've been away from the game professionally for 5 years now.
Yep, going on the 5th one. And every few days that that Facebook memories thing will pop up.
Oh yeah.
It'll be a picture or something. I'll be like, man, it just does not seem like it was that long ago that I was able to do that. But I love what I do. I love the game, and I'm really excited for this season and the guys that we have. they're working their tails off this summer.
There are so many more opportunities now than there used to be for a player at this level if they want to continue their career professionally. They may not be in the NFL,
Right.
but there's Canada, obviously, which you made it, what, 9 years? 8 or 9 years?
6 years there. It was 9 years total.
Professional.
Yeah.
There's the Arena League. There's the NFL's getting ready to kick off another developmental league. And we have seen Furman players go up and be successful. Ray Early, who was a kicker here when I got here, is playing up there. Greg Worthy from a couple of years ago just signed and is playing up there after making it, I think, deep into the final cut process with Oakland last year. So there are opportunities for young men that haven't been available before, but you hit the nail on the head a moment ago. That Furman degree, by and large, is going to carry them a lot further than a professional career is going to.
Absolutely. That's part of my recruiting, nugget to these guys who we're recruiting now and recruited last year. Is one day football is going to end. That's a guarantee. Football will end. It could be after, a year in college, 4 years in college, 8-year professional career, 10 years, 12, 15. It's going to end.
Tomorrow.
It could end tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
But after that, what now? And so you got to go somewhere where you're confident that school and that program are going to prepare you for after football, not just football, after football. And, obviously we have a great place here. And, I tell guys all the time, it's not about the next 4 years. It's about the next 40 years. What school is going to give you the best opportunity for the next 40 years? And
even though you transition directly from your professional career into collegiate coaching, I would still say that you're a prime example of that, because if coaching ended for you today,
right,
you've got the degree to fall back on. So you've got the Hall of Fame career in your back pocket, but you've also got the degree in your back pocket. And you tell me if I'm wrong, you probably value the degree even more.
Absolutely. I mean, the degree is, yes, it'll help you from here on, but the things that you learned on the process of getting the degree are the things that are really going to prepare you and help you in whatever you do after football, whether it's after coaching, after playing, whatever. It's those things that you learned on the way to getting that degree. This is Brian Bratton, as we're just doing a little catch-up here on this Wednesday edition of the Dan Scott Show. It's a slow time, if there is a slow time for college football, but at the same time, it's a little bit busy. It was last week. You had the first sessions of overnight camp that came in, and there are more camps in the future, right? There is. We got 2 more elite camps, July 14th, July 15th, and we also have our youth camp, which, is still open for everybody to sign up for all 3 of those. The youth camp is going to be a Monday through a Thursday, all day, and then there's also an option for a half day. Now, the youth camp is really cool. I used to run my camp back when I was playing during the summer, and it was one of my favorite camps because these kids come in at 6 and 7 years old, and they challenge you more than an older kid will, and it's fun to kind of race them and try to cover them. And the guys, they learn the fundamentals of football at a young age. It's it's a fun environment, and you've got our coaches that are out there coaching them, and obviously it's centered around fun. So it's just a really fun camp to coach, and I hope that people in the community will take advantage of it. The elite camp is a little more to business. Elite camp is all about prospects and seeing who's out there and giving them opportunity to show what they've got, to see if that we would be interested in get in the mix as far as a scholarship offer or anything like that. And like you said, it's a lot more business. When you and I talked last here on the show, it was shortly after Clay Hendricks had been hired. I think it was back during basketball season. You came up and spent some time with us, and we were facing the other direction. At that time, we were talking about it was the beginning of the metamorphosis of what this offense was going to look like, because there's been so many
offensive minds have been brought in with George Quarles and Drew Cronick and everybody else, and yourself and Clay. And I think you're the one that tabbed the name, the hybrid, because you couldn't think of anything else to call it, right?
Yeah, I didn't know that was going to take off like that.
But it is. So the offense here is known as the hybrid. You had a chance to put it in practice during spring practice for the first time. What were your impressions of what you saw from how the kids were picking it up, how they were executing it, what it looks like?
Well, first of all, you got to give, hats off to our guys for, number one, picking it up and embracing it and being open-minded and doing some things that they've never done before and lining up in formations and different things like that. And, hats off to them. They picked it up great. We got to the point where we were executing it great. And I think that we were having a lot of fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
There's some things that we put in that we want to tweak and make better, or we think, that might not work as well, or maybe this will be better. And you always have that in football. But I think, when you put something new on the table, looking at your personnel and what fits what you do best or what that guy can do best, there's always going to be some tweaks. But, I was very proud of our guys for, number one, embracing it, and number two, learning it and doing well in it. And, we just got to keep going. I mean, we only had 15 days. That's not a lot of time when it comes to football. We've got a lot more time coming up, and we'll work hard to put something out there that our guys will, number one, have fun with and not get bored with it, and number two, that'll put them in the best situation to be successful.
Anybody individually that you want to mention that you saw that kind of stood out as the learning curve was just beginning with this thing?
Well, I mean, you can single out P.J. Blazejowski all you want to. I mean, that guy, just learned the system, ran the show, understood every single thing that we're doing, executed at a high level very, very well. I think he understands this is his team. I think he's poised to take control over it. And I think that we're excited and we're like, hey, Anderson, I mean, that guy's been, injured or second or then first and injured and back all this time. Now it's his. And I think that he's really risen to the challenge, and I'm very, very excited to see what he's going to do. He's a great kid. He's a guy that has a lot of fun out there, and I think that's very important that we don't lose that. And I think we're going to see big things from him. And I'm going to help him as much as I can to make sure we see big things.
On one hand, he's a veteran guy. He's a senior, and he's gotten a lot of playing time, as you mentioned, during his first 3 years here. But at the same time, he's like everybody else. He's never been in this system before. And it's obviously, I don't know if people know this, but it's obviously important that the quarterback know what he's doing out there. So I would imagine that he's had to spend more time soaking up that playbook and everything else than anybody else has.
Yeah, and whatever he did, he got to just continue doing it because, I mean, I've seen that guy make some throws that I don't know if I've seen people make this past spring, and he was just on fire for about 15 straight days of practice and just hitting throw after throw and making, great decisions and executing and doing everything we asked him to do as far as footwork. And he just did a great job. I'm very impressive with how he picked it up, but more importantly, how well he's worked and being a leader.
You get the idea that this team has the I know I don't want to say the ability, because I think the ability is there because we were so close in so many games last year. The likelihood of surprising some people inside the conference this year.
Yeah, I think we'll surprise a lot of people because people aren't counting on us, and that's fine. You want to be recognized as a favorite and this, that, whatever, but, who cares? That's why you play the game. And so I think, we'll surprise a lot of people. To what extent, I don't know. I don't know that, and we'll find.
No predictions.
No predictions. We'll find that out when we kick it off. But I do think we'll surprise some people, and if we don't, then maybe they had their barometer set high for us. But I look at the preseason rankings when they come out and all that stuff because I've always have, and I'm not that guy that says, I'm not going to look at them. No, I'll look at them. But I think we'll surprise people. And I think that, more importantly, I think that our guys will reach their potential, because that's what we're going to push them to do.
Right.
And, whatever that potential is, we'll reach that. And we're not really concerned about everybody else's predictions or anything, but, we understand what they are. And I think we'll surprise some people.
As we get set to wrap it up here, I think the most important question, the one I haven't asked yet, but the one that is going to have a huge bearing on the season is going to be, how confusing is this offense going to be for the broadcaster? Am I going to sound like I know what I'm doing here?
You might need to come sit in on a meeting or two.
I'll take you up on that.
It will be very one thing I can tell people without telling them everything we do is that, number one, it's going to be fun to watch. Number one, people will be all over the place, and we're gonna have some tempo to what we do. And so I think people can kind of take that and look forward to us putting a product on the field that the Furman fans can be proud of. And that's one thing that I take very seriously, is that the fans and the alums are proud of what we put out there.
Yeah. Well, I will definitely take you up as long as Clay agrees with the ability to come in and sit in on a meeting or two, because I would like to have at least some clue as to what I'm talking about.
It might confuse you a little more than clear things
Well,
up.
you have to understand, though, Brian. I mean, you're talking to a guy that when we do baseball games at Latham Stadium, I encourage people to bring a radio with them and listen to the broadcast. And I tell them that oftentimes if they do that, they're getting a double header.
Right.
The one they're watching and the one I'm calling.
Yeah, two different sets of eyes.
So we don't necessarily want that to be the case with football, but no, I'm looking forward to it. I said this as we close, and it may just be because I'm in the building, and that may have something to do with it. But I've been around coaching changes at this level before. I've been around coaching changes over at Clemson before. I don't recall any coaching change that I've been associated with that has the amount of energy and positivity, if that's a word, surrounding it before. I mean, there's always positive. There's always that sense of, okay, it's new. Hopefully it's going to be better. But I don't ever recall anything being like this. I described it to somebody once as saying it's like you walk into this building and the building is vibrating. There seems to be that much positive energy.
Well, I agree with you. I think that it's for a lot of different reasons, but I think that, number one, you can pat Coach Hendricks on the back for coming in and having a positive attitude himself, understanding where we've been, understanding what we've got. We're thin at some spots, but that doesn't bother him. Mm-hmm. He's a glass half full kind of guy. We're going to deal with what we've got. We're going to enhance it and make it the best we can, and we're going to go out and we're going to fight our tails off, and we're going to win ball games. And our staff believes in it. That's the kind of vision that's said. We're going to win now. Mm-hmm. And we got a young staff that's energetic. I think that has something to do with it. We're all positive guys, and we look out for each other and we look out for our players, and we want to be successful, and we're hungry. And so I think all that, you shake it all up in a bottle and you get what you got right now. And that's a lot of excitement. And, we just got to turn that into a renewed focus on what we're trying to get accomplished. Hardworking, humble, blue collar attitude of going to work every single day and getting better at least one small thing.
Yeah.
And eventually those small things add up, and that's the only way you become great. So hopefully we can do that, and everybody will be able to see it.
You like the new look to the uniform?
Love it. Absolutely.
No frills, no strange combinations. This ain't Oregon, right?
No, I mean, I do like the combination thing. I think that obviously in today's world, as far as recruiting, you want a little bit of pop or whatever people want to call it. But I think going back to the classic purple with white, all white, there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
And I think maybe there's a little message going on in there. But I do think that if our guys can come out and that they can execute at a high level, we can win some ball games. They might be a surprise in the box.
Ah, okay.
Hopefully, we'll see.
Okay. May have just dropped a little nugget there for
No,
us.
they got to earn it.
I
They gotta earn it.
I got you. I'm just saying. It just gave us got us on the hook right now.
Hey,
Appreciate it, man.
thanks, man.
All right.
Anytime.
That's Brian Bratton. We will come back and put a wrap on the show right after this. Don't go away.
Hey.